Chapter 20, The 70s, Under Control. This chapter was quite interesting to me because I was very unfamiliar with everything that was going on in the 70s behind pop culture, but I was not familiar with politics at all. This chapter seemed to focus on more of scandals and how the government seemed to just be going all out of whack. I mainly found interesting that in 1972, 5 burglars were caught breaking into the offices of the Democratic National Committee, and throughout the investigation they found that these men were related to Nixon in one way, shape, or form. The chapter talks a lot about how Americans around this time, of all backgrounds, are coming together against the government, along with big companies, because along with that burglar scandal, there was lots of other scandals surrounding Nixon and just raising controversy about leadership and who was in charge. As the public turned against Nixon, he wasn't dumb, so he realized that it was necessary for him to resign. And after him, his vice president, Gerald Ford, became president. And I found this interesting that he had the famous quote, "Our long national nightmare is over." Which, even though Richard Nixon was no longer in office, his policies were still very in place, which most of his policies with larger corporations basically allowed them to rule the country along with the government. And so the long national nightmare is definitely not over. This chapter discusses a lot of just so many little/big issues we had internally and externally with our government, and how it was starting to affect not only us but our relationships with other countries. There's definitely a lot more details to find in this chapter than I've probably found, because I was mainly focused on the fact I couldn't help but relate this current time period to the time period back in the 70s, which people are definitely questioning who's in charge of our country and how well they should be trusted with it.